G'day folks, welcome back to West Garage. Right, today you join me, going to do a little layup on Mrs. Delboy's Harley. Now this here wintertime weather dictates that ain't going anywhere for a good couple of months until the cold and the frost and the snow and the salt and the crap is gone. The Onrato loves it, but the Harley does not. It just deteriorates too much and it isn't worth it. She only rides it as a hobby. Some people ride their bike every day, like yours truly. Some people ride their bike just at the weekends. So this is what we do to lay our bike up. It may not be what you do, but this is what I do. Have a look at what we do. You might like it, you might choose to do it to your bike. All this is how to put a bike to bed for about 3 months so it doesn't deteriorate and turn into a rusted pile of crap. When you look at the wheels on Harleys, they are notoriously good at rusting, and keeping that rust at bay, as we've managed to do, is a constant job. Keeping the spokes from rusting and keeping the bike from turning into a bog donkey and something that's not very nice. And it is your investment, so protect your investment. So here we are, that's all it is. Stick around, stay tuned. This is what we do first. Okay, after, as you saw, a good run up, get it right up to working temperature, and then leave it ticking over for about 15 minutes. And what it does is dries all the condensation out of the inside of the engine. Hot gases, cold metal, make sure that that bike is so hot you can't touch it, and then it's ready. So what we're going to do, I've done the motor already. This was done a little while ago. A little bit WD-40 on your bare alley, and that just stops it, because this is really all going to be about WD-40. That's where it's at. You don't have to put it on all around the frame because the frame's powder coated. This is exposed metals, and chrome is one of them. We're just going to pop a little bit on the chrome on your cloth and just wipe on a layer, a thick, like that, copious amount of WD-40. And what will happen, it will smoke off, and in that the solvent that's in the oil, the WD-40 oil, is burning away, leaving a coating of the oil on the pipe while it's still warm. I mean, technically it's not the pipes, this is the heat shields, you know, and that, just let that dry off for a minute. Then go around the motor, any of the alley, polishable alley, you're in your own light.
Sorry.
Any of your polishable alley like that. In the spring, when you come to get it back out, you're just going to give it a super wash, and that'll be another video. It's a super soap wash, loads and loads of solvent, washing up liquid, get all this oil off. But sitting in a damp garage, as this bike will do, for the next 3 months, it's going to have its effect. So chrome surfaces, even when you've got a K&M filter like this, which is an oiled filter, just whack a little bit on the face. It doesn't hurt. It will just aid the whole thing. You don't have to drown the bike in it, it's not necessary. And a lot of people on a forum that I go on now and again, they recommend ACF. I'll just show you that. That's this here stuff. It is brilliant, but it's really only for outside use, meaning if you're going to ride the bike in the winter and you don't want a rat bike, then you use that. And the idea of that stuff, it just makes a thick plastic coating over your bike, and it's great. But in the spring, when you come to get your bike clean again, that stuff, it's a living nightmare to get off. You almost need acid to burn it off. It's horrible. WD-40 is great, it does the job, and if you're coming in and out the garage throughout the winter, then you can check this, give it a wipe with your finger, make sure there's still plenty on there. You can even give it a little top up under the cover. So that's that side. Just going to around do the other side. Okay, you can see it smoking off. That's good because that's drying the solvent away. And it's the static condensation in a garage, if you look, with a tin roof that gets condensation like that. This is what this is about. It's not about going outdoors, so you haven't got to spray it all around the front. And be extra careful, don't spray it on your foot pegs, on the rubbers. They're not going to rust, you don't need WD-40 on them. Just be very conscious not to get it on them, because it will make them slippery, and that's dangerous. Same goes for your brakes. Really, really, really be careful with the brakes. When you come to do this chrome here, don't just go spraying, obviously just common sense really, isn't it? On there, let it dry a sec, and just wipe it over the chrome. That's all you need to do, around the chrome bits, and it just stops moisture forming on it. And there we are, that is pretty much coated up. Okay, next thing. And there we are, that is pretty much coated up. Okay, next thing. Right, then pump both tyres up about £10 more than you would use them on the road. So the rear is normally 36, so I'm going to put about 45, 46 pound in it, and the front is usually 32, so I'm going to put about 42 in it. Just get these pumped up. Right, next thing, I'm going to get it up off the ground, and the idea of that is to prevent it flat spotting the rubber. We've pumped them right up, but you'll still get flat spots. So whatever method you use to get your bike up, pretty lucky on Harleys and Cruisers because they've got flat frame rails, and you can put it up on a ramp like this. But if it's a sports bike, you can't. You've got to use paddock stands, so rear and front paddock stands, whatever it might be. But you can't use a paddock stand on a Harley, and I don't want to leave it on this really, because I don't need to. I've built a frame. Let me show you. If you come around here, I made this a while ago. This is just 4x2 in a square. It goes sideways under the bike. It's got some little feet that hold it. It's beef, as you can see. You can stand a train on that. And the idea of this is it goes in here, and on this is where the bike's going to stand. I've got it on the ramp so I can get it up and off it, and then we just wiggle it across, which is a simple task. And then both wheels are off the ground a good 4 inches, and that's nice and safe. It doesn't flat spot them. Also here, I put some, first of all, I've pinned some carpet to the concrete, because this is a Marley garage. Marley garages are notorious for condensation. So these concrete panels are straight to the outside. There's no air gap, there's no drywall on this, nothing. And it's not my garage, I rent it, so effectively I can't improve it in that way, but I can do this. Bit of carpet, that keeps it a little bit warmer, and the cardboard. Now the cardboard acts almost like a condensing plate. What it does, any cold, moist air is going to touch the bike and it's going to condense. We've got the WD-40 over everything, so that's safe, but as an extra safeguard, get a bit of cardboard there, and the moisture gets sucked into that instead of that. And all you've got to do when it's really condensation-y and it's really middle of winter, you can come in and you can rip that out and you can put a clean dry bit in. It just sucks the condensation away from the bike. Okay, airflow is also important. Come in a minute. I'm going to get it on here, roughly this point in the frame. Get it across onto its stand. It's a simple case, just lever it across. Could just leave it on the jack, but I like the jack stowed away, and I made this stand for the purpose. And there we are. On the stand. That's it.
Phew.
One of the levers. Out of the way. Okay. Now, obviously, looking down this side, I've got about a foot or so of space before the wall. That's about the closest I want it. The bike's still nicely out of the way. Alright, and then once you're up and you're in your position, it's just a little bit, so minding your brakes as always, around all the metal parts really, just because condensation will form on any metal surface. Just let it dry up, and nowhere near your brakes. So, little trick on the wheels, because the wheels are chrome, you just going to wipe that round with WD-40. Lots and lots of it. It won't hurt. You get close, there's a bloom on the chrome, and as you wipe the WD-40 on, it disappears as it goes oily, and that will stay nice and clean. So just put a layer of it round, wiped on. It's only 3 months. This is not a layup. There are different kinds of layup. You can lay up literally a bike for 10 years. And that means taking it apart, wrapping all the bits in grease and putting them in boxes. But this is not really a layup. This is just putting your bike to bed for the worst 3 months of the winter, so that in that springtime when you come to get it out, it's not all rusted and won't start. And the other side. And in the back wheel, just use a little bit of common sense. Don't spray it all over the back wheel because you don't need to. Remember, you're not coating this up to go on the road. You don't need ACF 50. You can use WD-40. GT85 is good. That's got PTFE in it. There's Scott Oiler stuff which you can use. But ACF 50, I don't know if you need it really, because technically speaking it's for on the road use. It's to keep the road salt and stuff off. You're only laying it up. It's only a little tiny bit of condensation. That's all you're doing. So WD-40, the world's best. GT85, that's also good. That's all you really need, and it makes it so much easier when you come to get it back on the road in the spring. So that's the front done, the back done, the tyres done, everything coated up, the bike's dried out. Another quick tip, fill your tank up. We've filled this up with fuel. The reason you fill your tank up with petrol, fill it up as much as you can. What that does is it removes as much of the bare metal from the inside of the tank by putting petrol over it. If it's full right up, there's only probably this little bit here that's got air in there to allow that to rust inside the tank. If your tank's empty, then obviously you're going to have all this bare steel inside, and that tank can rust over the winter. So the best thing I'd always suggest, fill it right up. And obviously 3 months from now that fuel will be trashed. I wouldn't use it. It's very simple. Get a can, drain it into a can and bin it. Take it to an oil disposal place, get rid of it and put fresh petrol in. Don't run that stale petrol through the motor. So fill your tank up, fill your tyres up, oil everything up. As you can see, not the saddle. Right, once you've coated everything up and it's up on a stand, your tyres are off the ground, which is the desired effect. So the bike's suspended. It's pretty safe. When you think about it, no one's really going to nick it from the stand there. But it doesn't mean you don't do security. So quite simply, lock the steering as normal. All your locks, chains, everything you use, and lock it all up as normal. Right. Disc lock on the back first. Big old Oxford Munter with the wheel. And to the front. Disc lock. And then the big one. All I do is take the slack out of that. Around that side. Just got one of these granite padlocks. It's really about slowing people down. If they're going to nick your bike, they are going to nick your bike. I can't stress, if you've got a Harley, I cannot stress enough the value of a Greed Value insurance, because if someone wants to nick your Harley, they will nick your Harley. There's nothing you can do to stop them. This just slows them down, gets in their way. And finally, lock this on the steering through the frame loop. Right, now covering it up, that's a contentious, is the word, subject. Some people think leave it like that, and you can leave that like that. You've got a garage roof, it's not raining, that's fine. But just for belt and braces, I'm going to use this. This is an old sports car cover made out of muslin, so it's cotton. cotton dries a lot better. It doesn't sweat, it breathes perfectly. It's effectively a dust cover for a classic car. So what we're going to do is chuck this over the bike loosely to keep the crap and dust off it. And also this acts as a little bit of a moisture collector. It gets kind of moist, so you fill the cover. If it feels wet, take it off, dry it out. This is bone dry now. I'm going to show you, we don't cover it up completely because we need airflow. The secret of keeping a bike from getting condensation on it, or it's not a secret, what I mean is the method, sorry, of keeping a bike from getting condensation all over it is airflow. Making sure that air flows over the bike and then the condensation dries away. If it's sealed under a plastic cover, it's going to sweat like a pig and rust. The WD-40 works. This works a bit better. Keeps it from getting cap on it. And that's the last phase of the job. Plugged in a battery optimizer there, Optimate 3. That's going to keep the battery nice and charged up over winter. You don't need to do anything else. And that is pretty much it. Now it's not a how-to, it's just this is what I do. Like I said, keep that airflow underneath the bike, roll the cover up on itself, stuff it up under fenders and stuff. You know, you're only trying to keep dust off the top of the bike. This cover doesn't need to be on the ground. When it's absolutely horrible, dark, wet, miserable, ice, snow, bikes like this don't need to go out and get destroyed. All that chrome's nice and shiny. We can keep it that way. It's 3 months, that's all. It's December now, March time, this will go back on the road. That's it. That's what I do. You do what you want to do. Hope that helps. Thanks for tuning in and watching Delboy's Garage. Ride safe in the winter, folks. See you next time. It really is horrible, isn't it? Oh.